Hello and welcome to another League of Legends guide, and in this one we will be building upon last summer's vision tricks video to add to our knowledge of vision exploitation so that we can manipulate our enemies and surprise them with more roams, more ganks, and more defeats. The role common ward placements have on jungle pathing and mid laner roams has always been strong, and we are now even seeing jungle pathings change, just like the one in the Java video I just did, that revolve around avoiding pixel bush detection until the last possible moment. In this video, we're going to focus on strong things a lot of people don't use to navigate around scuttle vision, gaps in enemy vision control, and some other tips that you can use to gain even more advantages in your quest for victory. So if you do enjoy this video and you do learn something, please do consider clicking that like button. But first, before we get into it, Rost has a message for you.
Hello, I am back again, and I have come to let you know that the reason you fail is because you keep starting on the scuttle crab, building AP on Kindred despite my previous message, or even worse, choosing Shadow Assassin. There is no hope for you. There is nothing that can save you, unless you head to skycoach.gg. They have the freshest sites, the coolest coaches, and the most experienced challenger players. For industry best rates, sign up to obtain the quality coaching you need to finally end that 23.5 game losing streak and ascend to Iron 3 and beyond. Click the link in the description to find out more, and may all Shadow Assassin players suffer eternal pain.
Okay then, a little angsty there, but thank you to Rost for helping me out. Now to begin our first topic, let's take a very simple look at how we can navigate the scuttle crab in the river to still surprise the enemy even though they think they have the vision control. In this game, our challenger Riven player here has conducted an interesting clear that at least gave her one scuttle crab. In the meantime, her mid had pinged out that her raptors were warded, and where specifically, and so because of this, as she reapproaches that side of her jungle, while taking them, she hugs the side of the map away from vision to avoid any possible detection. You can also see this on the enemy map that will show on screen now. As you can see, there are no pings whatsoever from the blue team indicating that she has not been seen. Now, during this time, the enemy Lee Sin has roamed top and executed a rather unfortunate gank that has him and his top laner very low on health. Riven, knowing that he got the top scuttle, has her raptors warded, needs to use creative pathing to get to that side of the map undetected. She uses her insane map scaling and mobility to hop over the Rift Herald pit, and now, to avoid being seen and remain invisible on the minimap, she can actually hug the wall very closely as indicated by the arrow, and she will not show up on the enemy minimap if she does this. Because of the smart pathing going around the raptors, over the herald wall, and around the scuttle vision, she's able to complete a nice tower dive at level 3 on the low HP Scion and get her Vladimir a lead. So when there is vision around and you want to rotate immediately, you can still do that, guys. You don't have to back off, you don't have to avoid that side of the map. Just use your knowledge of vision gaps to actually get to where you want to be. Looking at the play from the blue team's perspective, you can see that while the Lee Sin acts as well as you can expect from a blind man trying to gank, they had no idea where Riven was until she shows up in the top lane to end Sion's reign as the loudest zombie corpse on the Rift. So when exactly is this kind of pathing useful in other situations? Well, I'm glad you asked. See here from this Talia example. Now, this is on the other side of the map, so the pathing is actually easier. If you hug the wall just like the arrow shown, you will be within the sweet laser outlined area where vision does not exist. Yes, the blue bot lane has a ward in the river bush which will reveal her, but sometimes all you need to do to get a good gank off is just being detected as late as possible so that the enemy lanes have no time to properly escape. You see the pings coming down from the blue team as Talia shows, but it was too late as the Jhin was pushing the wave and the Talia took a smart angle of approach as well. Had she taken lazy pathing, walked over the scuttle crab, perhaps not taken an outside line to the gank, then the enemy team would have been aware of where she was much sooner and probably been able to back off, especially in high elo games like this where they are paying attention for that kind of thing. But because she went around the detection radius of the scuttle crab, she was able to successfully get off a nice early gank. Finally, our last trick using this scuttle river detection radius is to look and see how we can steal away a game-altering Rift Herald from the enemy's grasp. If you have perhaps taken out the enemy jungler or they're on the other side of the map, but you know they have vision in the pit and the river, you can use Griffin Tarzan's sneaky approach of stealing it away from the enemy. In this case, I have killed the Shyvana as Rek'Sai. I know the Rift Herald pit was warded and tracked that cooldown approximately as I saw it placed. As the ward dies, which you can see on the enemy team's red map, I throw out my Q, careful as to where I'm standing because I know the enemy also has a ward in the top river bush on the left. Now instead of walking into the Herald pit to begin to do it, perhaps letting the enemy know where I am, you want to let her come to you, much like a curious kitten when you're potentially offering treats, cuddles, or pretending to be a cat yourself. When she enters the area you are standing close to the wall, you can begin doing the Rift Herald safely from any vision and remain invisible. Now you don't often have the situation of doing this perfectly every game because if you have a good early game, you have a lead, you'll have control of that side of the map, but I wanted to try it in this game just to see if you could get away with it. Now, because it was the first time I did it in-game, I actually moved up too far in the river and I briefly showed on their vision when using a Q. Now a good team would have actually noticed this, but fortunately they weren't looking in that direction, nor in a position to contest. But it's more about using the situation that's available to me to sneak this away before the Baron spawns, which is going to be any second upon completing it. Now the enemy didn't really catch wind of my plan. Fortunately I got away with a little bit of bad positioning. But the idea is that I used that pocket of no vision that the enemy didn't have control of to pull the Herald out of the pit without showing myself on that scuttle vision. Now of course I had that whole dark area I could have used to do the Herald and they would have only seen it had they physically clicked on the minimap over the Herald pit, but because Herald doesn't show on the Scuttle Crab vision on the minimap, it didn't trigger anything, and it's fortunate that I didn't trigger anything. However, if you're looking for a perfect way to do this, go and look at SKT vs Griffin Game 2 where Tarzan was Elise and he actually pulled this off and it's much smoother than my first random time in game. I just wanted to show you that you could use it and, barring a few mistakes, get yourself a free Herald in the nick of time. And this brings to light a very important concept, one we touched on in the last Vision Tricks video, as well as our dedicated warding guide, which I will also put in the description for you. And that's exploiting pockets of vision whereby you have darkness like this Kha'Zix does, or in an esteemed lady and gentleman's perspective, not having pockets of vision by chaining wards together to give you a maximum area of detection, like the Talia and Kassadin have done here. This vision control now allows them to secure Dragon and conduct a game-changing fight because they could see the whole situation, whereas Kha'Zix's team was literally in the dark and couldn't make as informed decisions about when to go in and when to go out. Exploiting these pockets of darkness, or simply moving around known vision points or common ones as shown in my warding guide, can give you unmatched amount of ganking power, whether you're a jungler, support player, or mid laner. And now low elo players will state that the enemy never wards, so this does not concern me. Well, guess what? They will and they do ward, and rather than try the same gank approach 10 times and succeed 7 because they don't ward but on the final 3 attempts they do, why not mix it up and really tilt them by using 10 different ways of ganking and succeed 10 times because they never see you. Just because someone isn't equipped to deal with your knowledge doesn't mean you don't do it. Best practices will help you climb, and this idea of pathing and vision awareness is one of them. Finally, a most important note about these windows where vision doesn't carry over is using J4 from the previous video, but focusing not on his level 2 gank, but how he does it. He knows the enemy warded the pixel bush, which is just a meme at this stage, and when you don't want to do the buff invade clear that I showed at the beginning of the video by, going over the wall, sneaking the blue buff, and then you remain undetected by the scuttle crab, you simply hug the wall ever so tightly while maintaining a smart approach from your jungle, as you can see on screen now. By sticking to the wall, you can sneak into the bush and still conduct your level 2 gank while being invisible. The key here is being very tight with your pathing. The Kassadin had no idea and loses his flash to the gank. You can see from his point of view now and how it affected him. He just had no clue that Jarvan was going to be able to sneak in around that pixel bush ward. It's a very simple approach but executed well, and this means that the ward that's typically put in the river could no longer do its job, and this is why J4 is so useful at the moment. He can threaten multiple jungle routes while avoiding cliche early game vision that has evolved to keep track of jungle crab hunters. And our final tip on this: don't stop your smart pathing here. Minion wave vision isn't just useful for pathing behind your towers when the enemy lane is pushing into you, but also vice versa. When you want to move one side of the map to the other, instead of looping around and wasting all your time, in this situation, because of his level 2 gank, the mid lane Aatrox can really hard shove the wave. This means that Jarvan can cross through the mid lane behind his laner without being seen and saving precious time. Now he has control of that glorious second crab, and you can go back to the mid lane, get off a cheeky tower dive, and escape with 1 HP. And yes, I'm aware I showed this clip in the last video. I just wanted to highlight the vision aspect of it because it was very well done all around. Hopefully these subtle little pathing and vision manipulations can help you in your games. They're used in Challenger games a lot, and is one of the most distinctive differences between Diamond, Master, and Challenger games in how often they use these particular things to gain even the slightest of leads that can be used to win games faster. And in low elo, good practice is getting used to it, getting better at them will help you climb and win overall when you package everything together. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and comment if you enjoyed and learned something. Consider officially joining us on YouTube to support the channel. Subscribe for more League of Legends videos coming very soon. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.